Hi everyone, Megan Taslaman here, live streaming from Thyroid Healthy Balance. Today I wanted to talk about a very important topic, which is a topic that I'm extremely passionate about. Now let me just see if I can tag a few people. Okay, I can't actually do that. That's okay, no worries. So if you jump in, and if you're joining me live today, please give me some love. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me. I just want to make sure that the audio and everything's okay. Just waiting for some people to drop in. Yeah, right on time. All right, so welcome. My name is Megan Taslaman, and I host this group, Thyroid Healthy Balance. And today I'm going to be bringing to you the number one tool that I believe is crucial to healing your thyroid. So I'm going to go through all of the reasons why doing a detox and literally clearing the slate uncovers so much information about your body in terms of signs and symptoms and triggers, in terms of any exacerbating factors, right? So if you're joining me here, give me a thumbs up, give me a wave, give me some love. If you're joining me later on, please do a hashtag replay so that I can interact with you. And a couple of you have sent me some questions, so I do deem to answer those on this call today, so stay tuned. But first of all, I wanted to explain. Here's the thing. Often when we have a dysfunction or a disease in our body, what we do is we go and seek help, right? And what typically happens is we're adding to what we're already doing. So we may be adding some supplements, we may be adding some medication, we may be adding a protocol, right? So that may well be, advantageous at some point in time. However, often I find that we really need to clear the slate. Thank you. Oh, wonderful. Sophie's here. Thank you, Sophie. What I find is what we need to do is, rather than adding to what we're doing in our daily rituals, in our daily life, sometimes we need to just clear the slate and literally reset our body. And by doing this, we uncover two really key elements to our health. One is that we're actually clearing all of those little infractions that add up over time, like the sugar that's coming in, which may be coming in some forms that you're unaware of. That is, I find that occurs often. The other big guns are, your wheat. Wonderful. Thank you, Shell. Good to see you. Wheat, dairy, which tend to be inflammatory for a thyroid disorder or disease, right? Wine, absolutely. Yeah, we've got alcohol coming in there as well. Absolutely, very inflammatory to the system. Okay, sugar, alcohol, wheat, dairy, all of the big guns, and may I say coffee as well in some individuals. So if we're kind of just doing our thing every day, and whether or not you've been diagnosed with a thyroid disorder or challenge, this very much applies to you, because clearing the slate, with those 5 big guns across the board, will enable you to really feel and tap into how your body is supposed to feel. I'm good, no copy. All right, awesome, wonderful, woohoo! That's really great, Sophie. So, because when we actually really go back to basics, we uncover so much information, and that's what brings me to the second point. So the first point is really lowering the levels of inflammation in your body, and the second point is to uncover information. So what I mean by that is, I'll give you a couple of scenarios so that you can really understand what I'm getting at here. If you have, let's say, Hashimoto's, and you may be doing all of the good things, you're off wheat, you're off dairy, you might be off alcohol, you're off coffee, or there might be just a few of those things, or a combination, or you may have cut down, whatever the scenario is. When we do a thorough detox, often what can happen after you go through that period of your body craving, because that's what happens. All of these addictive substances, they interact with the opioids in our brain. So that's why we need to, sometimes like eliminate those steadily so that we can get down back to basics and really understand what's going on in our body. And when we get to that point, what can happen is sometimes an ordinarily healthy food that you may feel has served you will pop up as actually a food that is causing an impact on either your digestive system or your energy, or there could be a group of foods. And it really allows us to get crystal clear on what foods are serving us or beverages are serving us, and what are actually hindering our body to heal. And then from that point, we can actually do some thorough investigation to really pinpoint, because if one or two foods pop up as an example, then by doing, for example, a food inflammatory panel, which measures how your body's immune system reacts to certain foods. So with that, which is a functional level of testing, what will show up is your IgA or IgE autoantibodies, antibodies I should say, to certain foods will pop up in the high range. And from that we can deem that, okay, those foods have actually been problematic. And I'll give you a really good example. I had a client that was gluten-free for years, but she still suffered from fatigue and digestive issues. She had a thyroid condition, so she had Hashimoto's. And what we found was, by doing this actual food inflammatory panel, we found that her daily almond milk coffee was actually causing a problem. Now for her, it wasn't the caffeine, it was the almond milk. Because what often happens is, when you go gluten-free, you turn to, you find out what you like, and then you just have that to replace what typically would be a common food item. So this particular lady was having that every day, and unbeknownst to her, she was causing a lot of inflammation and triggering her digestive system. And it wasn't until we did that level of testing that we understood that. Okay? So, and that all stemmed from just really clearing the slate and understanding that actually, her diet was, once we cleared the slate, her diet was pretty healthy. So we needed to do some further investigation, right? Okay, I'll give you another example. One of my current clients, when she embarked on the Confidently Clear Detox, she reported back, look, something's not quite right. I'm still getting the digestive issues. I'm still getting the bloating. And I thought, okay, let's look further. So sometimes we need to do what's called a gut function test, and the type of gut function test, there are all types of levels, and the type that I always do the gold standard, the very, very top level, because what I find is, and what I've found is, if we just kind of, stinge a little bit and do a low level of testing or a lower level of testing, we're not uncovering everything about the digestive system, the way our digestive organs are working, what's going on in our microbiome, how our enzyme function is working, etc., etc., etc. And then when we did that level of testing, we found for this particular client that actually, there was an imbalance with the microbiome, and we needed to really, and that really pinpointed an area and highlighted a zone that which warranted a treatment plan for a period of time. And then after that particular treatment plan that goes for typically to rebalance gut 6 to 8 weeks, as an example, after that period of time, then this lady, essentially reset her gut and was able to heal, and has since then her energy is improved. I would say, last time I spoke to her, about 90%. She's resuming some weight training, some exercise. So all of these things can stem from starting at the very beginning. And that very beginning is looking at the digestive system, looking at your gut function. So it's not always only about what we're consuming, what we're supplementing. Often it's, you know, well, what's the combination? Is there just too much going in? You know, are there inflammatory foods that we're unaware of? Or it could all be resolved by getting rid of the 5 big guns, yeah, the alcohol, the caffeine, the sugar, the wheat, and the dairy, yeah, for a period of time. So with my clients, what I find is when we do the Confidently Clear Detox, roughly every season, it just kind of strips it back and brings back to base, to then further uncover any areas or issues, or just help to reset the metabolism for better health and wellness, right? So it's a crucial area. Now, I'm going to answer one of the questions that came through. A lady reached out to me, and I wanted to answer that on this live training. So this person has Hashimoto's and suffers from severe constipation, and also has a very, very sensitive system, and is really wondering how she would go about detoxing the liver. So first of all, what I would like to say is we don't detox the liver. The liver is our organ, our functional organ, that helps us detox our body. So we don't ever actually detox the liver. The liver is working 24/7. It is continuously trying to take the load off our body, you know, lower down that inflammation, you know, detoxing things like those microscopic plastic particles that are abundant in our water supply. That is true, right? Also, any medication. So any medication that we take, that gets broken down by the liver, and after it's done its job, that needs to be metabolized and actually excreted out of the body safely. So if our liver is in balance, it is able to do that very, very effectively. But if we're having quite a few substances, you know, we're not eating healthy, we might be having some trans fatty acids. So the trans fatty acids are those types of fatty deposit materials that are in our baked goods that you may buy in the frozen section of the supermarket, for example. You know, the ready-made puff pastry, the ready-made short crust pie, you know, whatever it is, yeah, they are often made, they're not good fats at all, and they actually cause a lot of inflammation in the body. So I'm just giving you some examples, right? The other one is alcohol. So alcohol is actually a cell toxin, which I think it's quite well known to be a cell toxin, and which is why it affects people quite quickly, because it just goes straight into the cell, every cell of the body, right? So, you know, with alcohol, if you have a thyroid issue, you know, any level of, you know, your threshold, understanding your threshold A is extremely important, and also ideally minimalizing, but the very, very ideal would be to eliminate that, okay? Particularly if your thyroid issue stems from autoimmune, because with autoimmune, you know, we're trying to regulate the immune system. So we don't want to create any drama for our immune system. You know, we want to try and regulate it. And I feel that there are a lot of, for want of a better word, toxic particles that come through the food chain that may contribute to the dysregulation and confusion of our immune system. And what I'm picturing right now is a ubiquitous environmental toxin, and that is glyphosate, which is sprayed on our conventional food crops, okay? Which is why, you know, very much I advocate organic or biodynamic, as, you know, even if you want to adopt the 80-20 rule there. However, what I have found for myself and also for my clients, often organic can be not fresh, So we need to understand which foods are typically sprayed more, which ones less, and really understand that so that we can do our grocery shop, quite easily, knowing which ones to typically choose organic for and which one not to. So I'm kind of going off on different tangents, but this is really important because this gives an example of why we need to do this detox, right? Okay, I'm just getting a notification. Just give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me, guys. I think I'm live. Yeah, no, it's all good. All right, so and there are they are multitude, right? It's quite well known, even gluten-free. You might be on a gluten-free diet, but what gluten-free products are you consuming? Because I can tell you right now, I only shop from about 10% of the gluten-free aisle in the supermarket, and the reason for that is just like anything that gets marketed, it doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. If it's gluten-free and in the healthy aisle, it doesn't mean that it's a clean food. And if you're unsure or curious about that, I recommend I set you a little challenge. Just next time you're in the supermarket, grab your closest gluten-free bread and have a look at the long list of ingredients and numbers, yeah? So that's just a little thing to just convince you of that one. So all of these infractions add up. And getting back to the question, if you're suffering from a digestive disorder such as constipation or diarrhea or bloating or pain or nausea after food, doing a confidently clear detox is absolutely the best way to start. Because what that's going to do is it's going to clear out all those foods that naturally cause inflammation in every person's body. It's also going to help the organs to let go and release toxins. And when done properly and with support for the liver, it's going to help mobilize toxins out of the tissues, which is why sometimes there can be some side effects for a couple of days, just, minor side effects like a little bit of fatigue and a little bit of headache. But dare I say, after a few more days, with eating the right foods and actually honoring your body with what it needs for rest and hydration and stress management and wellness, then you start to bounce back, right? And then after a couple of weeks, you'll bounce back even more. Okay, so, and often what I find is if you're suffering from constipation, often the body will just start to recalibrate and sort itself out, because typically with a detox, what we're taking in is we're taking in a lot more fiber from our vegetables, fruits. We're having foods that have typically that are typically high in bitter properties and typically high in digestive enzyme properties, and the recipes are absolutely beautiful, may I add, and more often than not, people will reset their taste buds on their palate and actually start to crave these really health fortifying foods. Okay, so as far as constipation is concerned, I find that often corrects itself just from food alone and some really healthful eating habits, because with that we also want to be mindful of how many times we're chewing. What are we doing while we're having our meal? Are we actually taking time out for our meal, or are we doing it on the run? So all of these factors, yeah? Okay, so there are just some key points to consider. The other thing is, if you've got a sensitive system, yes, absolutely, it's really, really important to go slow with just minute steps along the way, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to suddenly go in hard and then immobilize all of these toxins, and then what's going to happen is you'll get some serious side effects that may actually be debilitating, yeah, such as really extreme headache, etc., etc. So that's why it's really, really important to, have a good understanding and awareness, and just know that it's a process, and have a team of people to support you as well. Yeah, so it uncovers a lot of information about what's going on in your body, so that you can do further testing. It helps to clear the slate, so that you can actually, your body, your mucous membrane, which is where we absorb all of our beautiful vitamins and minerals in our digestive tract, starts to heal. And you know, we actually hydrate so much more, so that our body can actually have enough water that we absorb into our cells to properly plump up our cells like grapes, so that we can properly efflux toxins and draw in nutrients. So all of this is a process, and it's a great way to start to heal your thyroid. The reason being is, why would we add to the plate before we subtract from our plate? Literally from our plate. You know, why would we add? Yeah? So this is why I firmly believe that detoxing, and by the way, with a detox, there's no one size fits all. It's very, very tailored, and it's very individualized, because what I do with my clients is we consider what else is going on in the body. So we don't just look at the thyroid in isolation of its communication with all other aspects of the body. We look at other areas. For example, what if you are going through a transition of menopause? Well, that is really, really an important time to manage and help to really honor your body with the right foods to help the buffer of estrogen turbulence as you transition into menopause. That's just an example. So the foods I would recommend for someone with a thyroid condition and also transitioning into menopause would be different to the foods that I'd recommend for someone with straight out autoimmune Hashimoto's. Yeah. Another example, another classic example, is if you have high cholesterol, or maybe you have insulin resistance. Yeah, so the foods are going to be very different if you have insulin resistance, or if you have blood sugar issues. Same thing if you have a sensitive system. That alone means less is more. Less is more for the sensitive types, for the canaries in the coal mines. Yeah, less is more. So this is why, Confidently Clear Detox, it's very, very supportive, and it's a beautiful way to start your healing journey. So drop a heal in the comments if you're ready to heal. I'd love to know if you're ready to heal. Drop a heal in the comments. Yeah, because wherever you are on your journey, now is a really good time to start. Because what I've found is when clients put it off, they might put it off a couple of weeks or a month, and then or even a couple of months, or they might say, I'll come back to you in 6 months. And then in 6 months' time, when they start this journey, often, actually 100% of the time, clients will say, do you know what? I should have started this ages ago, because look what I've found. Look what I've uncovered. Look at all this information my body is telling me now. Yeah? So now is always the perfect time to start your healing journey. Yeah? And I like to start with clearing the slate. And this is the way I've always practiced. Supplements, yes, absolutely, if deemed necessary. Sometimes we need them to supplement, to form that bridge between A and B, to get us from A to B, especially if there are deficiencies, but not in isolation of looking at the food, looking at the digestive system, looking at the potential root causes, so that we can uncover and investigate further. So that's why it's a beautiful way to start. So I hope this information has been of value to you. And what I'd like to ask is, if you're considering starting your healing journey for your thyroid. And may I add, you don't actually need to have a thyroid issue. In fact, many of my clients don't actually have a thyroid issue. They have the signs and symptoms that signal a thyroid issue. And what we've uncovered is that they don't necessarily have a thyroid issue. However, this is the perfect opportunity to work on up-leveling their health and wellness to actually ameliorate those signs and symptoms so that they then don't go on to get a thyroid condition. Because in the HPA-TO axis, thyroid is the second last domino to fall. So we want to make sure that we're honoring our body so that we don't actually, get a dis-ease or dysfunction, as an example. Yeah. And in doing all of this, we never ignore the 4 other realms of healing, which are equally as important, which are the mental, in terms of stress management. Huge with thyroid, absolutely huge. The emotional element, and of course the energetic centers, the spiritual element as well. So we look at the 4 realms. Yeah. So if you're curious and you're actually wanting to start your journey, or you're just wondering what that may look like for you as an individual, I'd love you to type in the word connection. Connection. And then I will invite you on a call and we can have a chat. This is just a connection, just for me to get to know you a little bit better, for me to have an understanding of what you're going through, what's happening for you. And literally, it's exactly that. It's for us to connect. Yeah? So I would love to connect with you, and just write connection, and I will reach out to you, and then we can set up a time that works for both of us to have a conversation so that I can get to know what's going on for you. All right, well, that's it from me, and I wish you a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.